All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. The last preview of the Premier League season. Obviously, we still have one big match to come, and I've got some madness lined up, man. There'll be streams every day. There'll be big guests every day, and it's just going to be a party until the Champions League final. But today is the last one for this season in terms of Premier League, and yeah, it's been crazy. And I like to think about that this will be the last one for the Premier League. The last time probably us three, not probably, definitely for the Premier League side of things, we're definitely going to reconvene for the Champions League. But yeah, the last one for the Premier League, it does sort of, not sad, but, kind of makes me a little bit, I'm going to miss the boys a little bit, do you know what I mean? Because it is going to be a bit of a couple of months until the next season starts. But anyways, without further ado, first of all, live chat, thank you so much for joining. We've got quite a few people lined up already. Thank you heaps for joining. Hope you guys enjoy this preview. Smash the like button straight away if you're here, and if you're here for the first time, subscribe. And yeah, Taryn, my boy, how you doing?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind rollercoaster season. Like, I'm sure many of us were expecting the last day of the season to not be fighting the top four, fighting for. But we have a Champions League final to look forward to. It's not as bad as people think. But yeah, I think I'm really happy. It's been, I say, a successful season. If we can go win the Champions League, if we finish top four, I think it's just the average season. I won't be too happy with that. But yeah, I'm happy to be on the channel with the preview boys. Always good. Had a nice lunch, and yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
Nice. RJ, my man, has things.
Hey boys, it's good to be back. Had a whirlwind couple of days, much like our season in many respects. But overall, it's been great to chat Chelsea and with the live chat. And I think this is the kind of business end of the season where it can be either a fantastic result or it could be sort of quite dismal and quite painful to us. So hopefully, overall, we finish on a high, because I think as passionate fans, we deserve to get some success. Thank you very much, Ken. I'm doing well, my friend. I'm on the mend, like the Blues. We're on the mend.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Ken. Honestly, nice, great shout out to RJ there. Boys, let's get straight into this. Thomas Tuchel press conference. I might need some of your help as well if you guys want to just private chat me some of the notes. But I want to start off. I'll go to you, Taryn, and let RJ sort of warm up to this. Thomas Tuchel talks about I think the very first few questions, one of the main ones, I only want to touch about the main ones, is the level of energy. They was talking about, how do you keep performing the way you performed against the Leicester match, which was the last one, with all that energy and whatnot. And Thomas Tuchel kind of said that's the level that we need that's the level that we're searching for every game. But it is difficult. It is very difficult to be at that level all the time, because at the end of the day, players are human beings. Sometimes when it's a top game, say, for example, Champions League, Real Madrid, they're very amped up, they're ready to go, and the energy is different. And then sometimes maybe if it's a sort of like a mid-table game in the Premier League against a mid-table side, I suppose, the energy is different. But I suppose the question that I want to ask you is, Taryn, the best teams, the teams that create a legacy, like the ones that we had ages ago in Roman's early era, your Jose Mourinho's first stint, you look at even I suppose Ancelotti in the first few seasons when we had that. I would even say Antonio Conte for that first season, where how we had amazing run, especially the Jose Mourinho sort of time where we honestly destroyed a lot of domestic cups and league titles and whatnot. We probably didn't get enough, or we didn't get any European glory, but we had a good span from early 2000s till about 2012 when we won the Champions League. We were winning a lot of stuff. So the question that I want to ask you, Taryn, is how do we get this team, where we've already seen at times that they do fall off, they do fall asleep? How do we manage to get this team to slowly get to that level that every game, it's just got to be spot on. It's got to be high intensity. You got to be hungry to win every single game. Do you think it's experience? Maybe the players are a bit too young still. That event, we got to be a bit more patient. How do we get to that?
Yeah, first of all, the thing that strikes me about all of them other seasons were it's completely different circumstances. We were playing every 7 days, maybe midweek, once a month, maybe. But this schedule, this season is crazy if you think about it. We're playing every 3 days at high intensity. There's an FA Cup semi-final, Champions League semi-final, 2 games against Man City. It's just crazy. So the way we played against Leicester, I don't think we can expect that every single 3 days. The first 45 minutes in that game, we were literally like 100 miles per hour, full high energy, high octane pace, destroying Leicester. And that's what we want to see. I feel like next season, we will see that more when the schedule kind of evens out a little. We'll start in August, with the Premier League will start in August. We'll have an extra month to kind of, even out the fixtures a little bit, whereas we started in September this season. So next season, I think Thomas Tuchel will kind of be able to get the same buzz out of these players. And I do think we've seen it in the past, whether it's Tuchel, Lampard, Maurizio Sarri, that we come up against teams mid-table sides. We haven't the same kind of desire, same kind of energy. Whereas against playing against Arsenal, Tottenham, City, it's understandable if you think about it that the players, and that's the thing we have to fix. I think Liverpool, when they won the title, they were going out with the same mentality every week. Man City this season, whoever they're going up against, they'll be the same hungry tigers. They'll pounce on every opportunity. They won't let it pass. And that's kind of the level that we need to get at. Whether we can do it next season, hopefully the pre-season will have Tuchel to kind of speak to these players, get used to them a little bit more, know what he expects of them, even more than he has so far. So I think next season we could see that. We also have to remember that these are young players. They're not, there's a few experienced players in the team, Thiago Silva, Jorginho, Azpilicueta, but Tuchel even mentioned in this press conference, we have players like Mason Mount, Havertz, Timo Werner, who are, when we look at them, we think, oh, these are like 28, 29-year-olds, the way they play. But in reality, they're 22, 21, 20-year-olds.
They're young, man. They're young. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and when you're young, I don't think you can expect, unless you're the world-class, Messi's when they're younger, you can't expect every single game for you to be high-paced, hard-paced, being really, really amazing to the best of your ability. So, yeah, I think we have a young team that's developing, and luckily we have a manager who's willing to develop these players. The young players, the experienced players even more. So, yeah, I think next season's when it's going to happen, because this season's been absolutely crazy in my opinion.
Nah, man, you're absolutely right, man. We just need to stay a bit patient. Just on that, and I will go to RJ, just sort of a side note that obviously Taryn touched, but also Thomas Tuchel, as Taryn said, also touched on, is that the impact of fans. Thomas Tuchel actually said in the press conference that he's mentioned this to the hierarchies in Chelsea, that you need to understand how important the fans may be for these young bunch, because obviously the very first time we saw against Leicester with the fans coming back, what it meant for a player like Timo Werner. He said a post-match interview that he missed that. He loves that. And the fans got behind Timo Werner as well, not just Timo, behind everyone. We see so much slander in social media, but when it comes to the fans, the match-going fans, I know a lot of people will talk about Jorginho and all of that. Look, it is what it is. It's happened. Let's move on. But the bottom line is, generally, the fans go to the stadium, they back the players, they really go behind them. And this is what Timo Werner felt. And what I want to ask you as well, RJ, is that it is important to realize, and Thomas Tuchel, as I said, told the hierarchy that next season when we have the fans back, it will get easier. There are certain games where it gets very difficult and you don't have the fans like this season. You don't have them to help you just get across the line. Maybe with the fans, it will be very, very beneficial for the players as well, especially the young players.
Yeah, for sure. I think the point I'd like to make, and I think it comes off the back of what Tuchel mentioned as well, because they mentioned obviously the context of Leicester and Liverpool, is that it works both ways. Thanks, Pratik. Appreciate it, buddy. Hopefully you have a good episode here. With the fans, the impact works both ways. So on one hand, it can really motivate our guys and get them to play that extra 10%. But equally, when we're playing away, it can also help our opposition as well. So it does work on both sides of the coin, as we like to say here. But I think for our guys, and I think, Taryn, you made a good point about the young, talented squad we do have for the most part, with the exception of a few of the more senior members of the team, that they probably look to leverage off this momentum that's generated from the fan base, because they don't, unlike the Silvers of the world, the Jorginhos, etc., they don't have the many years of experience and resilience, let's call it, to grind out these difficult days. So if you're a young up-and-coming superstar, you probably want to thrive off the energy off the fans, and you want to feel that love that you get, because let's face it, a lot of the younger crowd, especially from a football perspective, they probably are very in tune with social media, and they probably see some of the not so sensational comments that come their way when they're not playing 100% of their ability. So when they come out to a crowd of sorts, and to hear the chants that support them, it probably gives them a little bit of a pick-me-up. So I think definitely a very good comment made. But I think in terms of what Thomas Tuchel's saying, I think he's quite right in the sense of, on one hand, we're ahead of both Leicester and Liverpool, but we have a difficult task of going to Villa Park and versing basically an extra motivated Aston Villa to want to do a good job in front of their home fans. But equally, Leicester and Liverpool, while playing at home, they're offset by the fact that they're starting off in a worse position than us. So it kind of cancels each other out. For me personally, I'd rather be in our position, because even though Aston Villa are going to present a very difficult task for us, let's not get it twisted. The reality is that their incentive is not as high as what the incentive is for us, as well as Leicester and Liverpool. So I think, while difficult, I'd still rather be in our position versus Leicester. In fact, I think Liverpool, objectively speaking, I think they're probably in the driver's seat in terms of winning their match. But because I do think that Tottenham, despite their poor form, they have the ability to pull a result against a very topsy-turvy Leicester at the moment. And for 100%. Us, even though we're pretty confident that we can get the job done again against the Aston Villa crowd that got someone to cheer them on, it does give us a little bit of a hurdle to overcome. So it'll be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what Thomas Tuchel said as well. I'd rather be in our position because we're ahead, as opposed to Leicester. Yeah, it's in our hands. So, and then Leicester would love to be in our position at the moment, with 1 point in front. So, Leicester's fate is not in their hands. So that's not a great feeling to have. As long as we win, I suppose draw, and I want to talk about that because Thomas Tuchel said something very interesting about risk management. But before we get to that, Flyers, thank you so much for joining. You've mentioned here the press was useless. They didn't ask who is fit and who isn't. I'm pretty sure they did because they talked about at the start. They talked about Andres Christensen, who's fit, so he's going to be in the squad. And Thomas Tuchel sort of said Kante I think he's more or less not fit. He was sort of saying that he hasn't trained yet. They are looking for him to train tomorrow, see what happens. But I don't think he's going to start. And besides that, there is no other injuries to report on.
Havertz as well. Yeah.
And Kai Havertz, same thing as well. He hasn't trained, so he'll come in. So, they did talk about that. We will touch a little bit more about the injury front of things. But, Taron, I do want to talk about how the risk management thing, what RJ said in terms of us being in front, and it's something that Thomas Tuchel talked about, and I found that very interesting because the journalist said, "What are you going to do? Are you going to have one eye on the other matches, the Liverpool and Leicester match?" And he said, "I personally thought he's just going to say no, I'm really not going to because I'm just focused on our match, and if we win, that's it. I don't worry about it." And he kind of started off with that saying, "Yeah, I'm not." But then he said, "I may have to, if the result's not going our way, I may have to see what's happening there in terms of managing my risk. If I need to go for the game, then I got to, really throw the kitchen sink and go for the game." Do you know what I mean? So I suppose what I want to ask you is, let's just say for argument's sake, we are having a 0-0 draw in the 70th minute. And let's say Liverpool's winning and maybe perhaps even Leicester's winning. He will have to have an eye on what's happening on the other games to see, well, what I got to do here? Do I push hard or do I wait a little bit longer? Let's say even at halftime, it's 0-0 and Leicester and Liverpool are winning 1-0. Do you know what I mean? Those two teams are actually ahead now. So what does he do? I found that very interesting from Thomas Tuchel that he said, I have to have some awareness because I may need to play my cards differently. Well, how do you see that? I found that very interesting, man.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say Tuchel knows exactly what to say, like perfectly. This guy's, I don't know. He's perfectly press trained, whatever you call it, at his old clubs. He definitely knows what exact to say. And for me, it's all about game management. That's the main factor in the game. It's common to know that if you're, like you said, if you're 0-0 in the 70th minute, it's natural to make changes. For example, even if the result is favourable for you, it could be 1-0 goal difference. For example, 2012 in the Premier League, QPR versus Man City. They're going to make changes to bring on, Balotelli, bring on another player to try and attack them more, even though they're winning. Man United might be winning. Wayne Rooney scored the goal against Sunderland. I think it's natural. For example, if Chelsea are drawing 0-0 and both Leicester and Liverpool winning, we're going to throw in another striker. We're going to throw on another attacker. We're not going to bring on Kurt Zouma or something for Azpilicueta. We're going to bring on Olivier Giroud.
I reckon even at halftime, if it's 0-0 and the other two teams are winning, I reckon he makes changes. I think he has to go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, of course, it's natural. He's not going to be looking obsessed with the results the whole game, like in the first half. He's going to be focused on his team. He's going to be focused on the game, the man management, what's going on, the individual battles in the game between Aston Villa, where we can exploit them in the second half. He's going to be focusing on that. And then if it gets to the last stages of the game, then he's going to start looking at other results where he can attack, to try and get another goal later on, or something like that. So, yeah, I think what he said was perfect. The perfect answer that all the fans wanted to hear. A good manager would say something like that. Another manager could have said, "Yeah, I'm very wary of the results. I don't know what's going to happen." But thing is, it's in our hands at the end of the day. All we need to do is win. If we win, we're in the top 4. We finish third. So I think the fact that it's in our hands makes a big deal. But for me, it's all about game management.
No, 100%, man. I think before moving into this game, honestly, boys, I was like, "Nah, we should be all right. We should be." But as it's getting closer and closer, I think there could be some heartaches tomorrow. Not tomorrow, day after. That if we don't score quickly, I think the fan base is going to start feeling the palpitation, and many people will have the phone and be checking what's going on the other games. And yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. If it's scoreless, or if Aston Villa scores first, I think it's pandemonium. I think it's proper pandemonium. Then it's going to be very, very dicey. I'm confident.
It's tricky. I was going to say though, the one thing that I do feel a little bit for Tuchel in this instance is it's not a black and white situation in the sense of normally if it's the race for the top 4, like last season again for us, the objective is very clear: play your best squad and get the job done. But we can't just say that here, because you play your best squad, we might achieve top 4 and injure 3 good players ahead of the biggest game in our last decade. So it is a bit of a juggling act. So that's where that whole risk management principle comes from. Because on one hand, you've got a good enough squad on paper, at least, to, in theory, beat Aston Villa, really, even though we should give them the utmost respect in front of their fans. But at the same time, you've got to be aware of what's going on around you, because if Tottenham's winning against Leicester, or if Liverpool are somehow drawing their game, why would you risk your best players when the situation doesn't warrant you to do so? So it's all about factoring in all those variables. So that's why I kind of feel for Tuchel that it's not just as simple as focus on your team and play your best players, because he's got the Champions League final as well as what's happening around him. So good luck being in his shoes. I'm glad it's not me, that's for sure.
No, for sure. Lampsey saying if Villa score first, I think I might cry. I think so. I think it's not just you. I think the whole entire fan base is going to be very, very, dicey at that point. Yeah, tears are going to be definitely rolling down, and it's going to get very, very interesting. But we will talk about the team selections. It's interesting how you said that risk management, RJ, but I'm a strong believer that we have to play the strongest team here, because it's not a game that we haven't won yet. We have to win this. And the Champions League thing, you're right. There is one eye there, but I feel like there's enough gap for recovery, injuries and whatnot. RJ, what do you do? That's just part and parcel of this whole situation at the moment. But if you don't, I said it when we played against Leicester, the last one, that we can't tinker anymore. That we really shouldn't, because I think the tinkering really hurt us against Arsenal and Leicester in the FA Cup. Had we just kept a stronger team and not tinkered so much, and I know it's very difficult to sit here and say that, but there was only a handful of games to go. There was only 5 more games to go from the Arsenal game, and they were all crucial. I remember having Tony Mount on my channel, and he was saying that, momentum is a massive factor, and he didn't want to see that many changes, and he was saying that someone like Mason Mount didn't want to miss out on the Arsenal game. He wants to play the Arsenal game. Someone like Timo Werner didn't want to miss out on the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
They want to. So
I think it's the qualifying point, though. I agree. If the caveat is if the players before this game are in good condition, if they're 100%, then you take the risk because you just assume that they're going to operate as normal. But if your players like Kante or Havertz now that are on the fence,
then you don't risk it.
That's a bit of a flip of a coin for me type thing. But yeah, totally get your point. It's now or never. So
yeah, look, Kante, as some of the live chat is saying, Kante is not fit. In my opinion, I don't think he's fit. If you haven't trained and he's going to train tomorrow, you're not fit. So I wouldn't even consider Kante for this game. And I had it in my mind that if there's one change that I make, it'd probably be Kante. I don't want to tinker around too much with all the other stuff because I want this team to keep going. Do you know what I mean? The momentum is huge.
100%.
That's pretty much what the press conference was about, really. They talked about, obviously the fate being in our hand, the risk management side of things, and obviously, the players, Christensen being available. He's been training, and Kante not so much as yet. Boys, let's talk about the match itself now. I'll go to you, Taryn. Aston Villa, I mean, in all honesty, they don't really have anything to play here. I mean, it's not like they need a win to qualify for Europa or anything like that. They're not there. I'm not even sure if they care about the Conference League too much. I think everyone wants to avoid the conference, whatever that new thing that's going on. But there's always pride. They're going to have fans at their ground. First time the fans are going to come back, and it's going to mean a lot to them. They don't want to They don't want to bow out the season with a loss in front of their fans for the first time coming back, literally after 12 months. How do you see this match, man? Do you see Aston Villa put away Spurs a few days ago, but Spurs were really, really bad as well on that day. But I mean, we should have more hunger, right, in this game. How do you see this? Or do you think they'll probably have a lot of hunger as well?
Yeah, I think the fans are going to make a massive difference in the game, in my opinion. I think Aston Villa do, in my opinion, have something to play for, and that's the fans. They haven't seen their fans maybe in December, I think. I'm not quite sure if they had their fans, but, that one-off game. But in that case, 14 months, they haven't played in front of their supporters. They've just been online and the journalists and stuff at the stadium. So I think, we saw in the game on Tuesday how big of an impact the fans had. And let's not forget, Leicester had a lot to play for as well. Leicester, they really needed a win to cement their place in top 4. And they were completely taken out of the game by, I think the fans had a big impact. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very difficult game playing against, the Villa fans. Are going to be supporting the team a lot. If they, need a goal, they're going to be pushing them on. At the start of the game, we saw the momentum shift at the start of the game on Tuesday. If Villa attack us once, it's going to keep happening. The momentum is going to build. It's going to be like a pressure cooker. It's going to keep building up until maybe something happens, a goal or we score. So, yeah, for me, I think it is a big game for Villa players. They have to impress the fans. Jack Grealish is going to be back. He's going to have a lot to prove in front of his fans as well. He's been amazing this last year or so where there's been no supporters in the stadium. So, yeah, but we have a lot to play for. You can't forget that. I think the fans will have an impact, but in my opinion, we don't really need fans to kind of push us to what we need for in this game. Everything relies on this game. We have to get the win. We have to get the win 100%. There's no if, buts, maybes about this. We have to push. We have to do that. Even if the fans, booing us, booing every single player, throwing tomatoes at us, we have to keep going and keep driving to try and get a win. So, yeah, I think the fans definitely, we saw it. I've already mentioned on Tuesday what a big impact they had, honestly, on that game. Massive impact. And that was only 8,000. I know there's loads of journalists, loads of people saying that when there's 40,000 back in the stadium, how crazy is it going to be? It felt like it was a full stadium on Tuesday. And yeah, it could be crazy. It could honestly be crazy. I don't know what's going to happen, on Sunday. I'm really worried about the fans factor of things, but I fully believe in our players to step up and to get past that barrier. It's a huge barrier, in my opinion. They're going to be fired up, the fans, the players, but we need to push past that. And we're Chelsea. We go through anything and we can get the win.
Nah, for sure. RJ, one John Terry is the assistant manager in Aston Villa. Do you feel deep down he'd be like, I hope Chelsea boys get over this. I do want to see them in the Champions League. I mean, it is difficult because he's Chelsea through and through. Inside his veins, his blood is all Chelsea. There's so many footages that's going around in social media about his last day, the speech that he made and whatnot. How does one sort of deal with that kind of situation, knowing on the opposition, it is your club that way, you're a legend of, and you've won so much with, and you've come from the academy and you love the fans. And then now it's the professional level. You're in a club where you need to, ensure that you're giving it 100%. But it would be very difficult to not think that, do I want to be the one that puts the gun on their head? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you think he might be feeling?
Yeah, it's a massive conflict, isn't it, really, for him? And I still remember that meme that was going around at the time when they scored against us, and he was very, silently acknowledging it. And then when they scored against another rival, he was going, ballistic that they won the Champions League. So he can definitely feel the love that he still has for the club. And as they say, once a Blue, always a Blue. And he's probably our, number 1, 2, or 3rd most important player of all time. But how does he probably approach this game? He's probably a little bit mixed emotion. He's going to want to be professional because that's what he's been his whole life. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go and tell Dean Smith maybe you should rest Ollie Watkins, Jack Grealish, don't play them. You don't want to injure them at the start of the season. That's right. Don't use your stars now. They're going to hurt them in off season. Rest them up. So no, it's going to be.
Do you think that may be, in all honesty, jokes aside, do you think that could be a policy for this game?
Yeah.
I mean, do they really want to play and risk the injuries? I know there's the off season and they could recover by then, but it is a game that doesn't. I know they have the fans, but it is a game that's doesn't really mean much to them. But could you picture them playing some kids?
Well, I think you'll probably see elements of a bit of a balancing act in a sense of let's give the fans what they want. They want to see the top stars of our club playing. They want to see Grealish. They want to see Watkins, who's been really strong for them. But at the same time, I dare say that there will probably be parts of the game where they push a little bit harder than others, but the mandate might be don't overexert yourself because we don't want you tearing an Achilles or something and you wipe yourself out for 6 months. For, like you said, on face value, apart from the emotion of having the fans back for the first time, and touch wood that there's no more COVID disruptions and the fans continue to come back in waves and droves. So when they do come back, they want to be able to see a fully fit team as of the start of next season. We don't want to go all out in what is a glorified friendly, with all due respect. So, it'll be interesting to see just how hard and aggressive they do approach it. I heard Dean Smith make some comments saying that he's going to want to interfere with our good, impressive away record. But I wonder if that's just a bit of PR talk to try to drum up some interest in the game. Because he's not going to come out and say, we don't really care about this game. I don't think he's going to say that. So, it'll be very interesting to see just how much initiative they take, or if they're just going to be quite resistant and just be very pragmatic.
100%. Let's get straight into this lineup. I think this is where we're going to have a lot more discussions coming through. Taryn, we'll go with you, my man. I think this is not even up for discussion anymore. I think we've seen the last of Kepa. Next time we will see him, it's probably for another club. Whether it be a loan, whether it be selling him, that's a different story. But I think Mendy has definitely, undoubtedly has cemented his position as Chelsea's number 1 goalkeeper. So we shall not even discuss about this position. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because we've started to see a little bit different back three. What's the back three that you're going with, Taryn? And we'll kick things off from there.
Yeah, you could argue that we could bring in AC to kind of, as Jonathan Manhandle CSU says in the comments, but, we played so well, whether it's ball progression, playing out from the back on Tuesday, there's so much pressure. It was great overlaps from Aspi and James was holding back. So I'd actually stick Reece James in the right centre-back role and I'd play Aspi right wing-back again. I think it just works so well. You don't fix what's not broken. We've always mentioned, don't change our lineup too much when we're playing so well. But, I can understand AC coming in, but the way we played on Tuesday, honestly, it's really made my thinking influence this lineup. And in the middle, obviously, I'm going to stick with the main man, Thiago Silva. I don't think there's any doubts really about that at all. Kurt Zuma, not really. And on the left, this Rudiger. So He's so good. My God.
He's another one of those. Yeah, he's another one of those undoubtedly, just someone said Mason Mount's an untouchable, and which he is. I think Rudiger is another untouchable.
The amount of times I've watched a video of Rudiger doing the roulette and then getting found by Tielemans, it's the funniest thing. Like,
wow,
this guy is such a. He's actually, I don't know what's happened to him. Honestly, he's been immense, and he better get that contract. But yeah,
unbelievable. He 100% deserves that contract. I agree with this backline so far: Mendy, RJ, Silva, and Rudy. Just quickly to you, RJ, what do you think about the backline?
Yeah, like Karen's logic makes a lot of sense, and the sense of why fix what's not broken, but at the same time about developing some chemistry. Because I think if I'm Tuchel, what I'm going to want to see, perhaps this is, not that it's an audition game, but it's almost like some more observation about how do I decide for that ultimate game, the Champions League final, i.e. do I look to swap RJ and Aspie in that right wing back RCB spot? But at the same time, let's not forget the influence and the importance that AC has had. So if he doesn't play this game, are we saying that he's definitely going to be benched for the Champions League final? So I think it's not as clear cut as that. I wouldn't, even though I like this back three, I wouldn't be surprised if AC is the one that starts there. And like Jono says, that Aspie, for as good as he has been, does he deserve that well-earned rest? But I don't know. I'm happy with this three.
I'm always a bit sort of doubtful when a player has been out for a little while in injury and then comes back and starts. I don't see how. I think Christensen will get some minutes, but for him to just not playing, for the past maybe 4 games or so, and then come in straight away and start, I can't see that. I mean, look, Thomas Tuchel may pose that surprise, but I think he may just stick with this. But yeah, I completely understand. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, RJ. Like, it wouldn't be a surprise, but I always find it a bit difficult for players when they have an injury to come back straight away without having that fitness in their bag, the match fitness.
Yeah, it's more so the Azpilicueta stuff as well, because we know he leaves it all out on the pitch and runs his heart into the ground. It's almost like a double-edged thing where it's integrating AC to give him an opportunity to stake his claim for the final, but on the flip side, giving Azpilicueta a bit of rest because he's our sort of natural leader. So that's the motivation behind that. But yeah, a tough choice.
100%. Aja, we'll go with you. Who are the wingbacks for you, man?
Well, I think we're going to have to go in this case. Aspie on the right wing-back spot. Who would have thought we would have been saying that? So I'd throw him in there at the moment, even though because Cho's frozen out, let's admit it. And on the left-hand side, we can't risk it. Chilwell's the man at the moment. So unless he's got an injury we're not aware of, that Tuchel didn't allude to, he's our go-to guy. Yeah,
I have to agree with this. As you said, I also think Aspie shouldn't be the long-term solution for us. I mean, we see this season out, but if we do continue with these 3 at the back and wing-backs, this is a position that is very, very doubtful for Azpilicueta because, let's face it, as well as he has probably been doing in the last few games, being a right wing-back, but he does not have that entire package to be a right wing back in a 3 at the back, where we do need wing backs to produce assists and sometimes even contribute in goals. And it may just be someone else in that position next season. There is shout for Tino Livramento, but I don't think if Livramento will start from next season. He may become like an understudy to someone else, but it'll be interesting to see who really takes that position because RJ looks very comfortable in the right centre-back position. But yeah, look, Chilwell for me, left wing-back, undoubtedly. Chelsea's number 1 left-back and left wing-back. Taryn, what's your thoughts on the wing-backs?
Yeah, I agree with the wing-backs. I think it's interesting because Reece James has actually provided a lot of threat, in my opinion, from the right centre-back. Well, he's very good at reading the game. He's strong. He can muster up defenders in that position. He can go forward and make them kind of, as to Morata, kind of crosses and runs. And I think it actually works quite well because Azpilicueta, makes them runs in behind the last line sometimes. He knows, when to get in at the back post. So I think it's a dynamic that we didn't really expect that would work at the start of Tuchel's reign and at the start of the season. And for the first time we saw Aspie playing in that role, we were like, what is going on? But, actually it's really worked for me. Long term, definitely not. I think a player that would suit that role perfectly, we probably won't get, would be Hakimi. I think he'd do that perfectly, making the runs in behind, getting assists with his pace, and Reece James can stay in that role. But left wing back role, I definitely agree with Marcus Alonso. I don't think we might see him in a Chelsea shirt ever again, in my opinion. Maybe off the bench tomorrow, on Sunday. But Chilwell's been such a revelation, in my opinion, in the last few months or so. A lot of fans were doubting him and saying maybe he's not the one for that role. He doesn't have the goal scoring threat. But the game, Tuchel's taken him under his wing. He's kind of said what I expect of you in this role. And I agree with the wing backs.
Yeah, 100%. The thing about Alonso as well, Taryn, I feel like because Emerson is definitely going. There's talks about how Emerson is on the way out. If Alonso is happy to be a second fiddle and we still continue with 3 at the back, let's be honest, Alonso can play a left wing back. That's one thing he can play. He can't play probably a left back, but definitely he can play a left wing back. So if he's okay with playing second fiddle, I don't mind him being a backup. Do you know what I mean? I do want to address this super chat from Phantom of Many Topics. Thank you so much for the super chat. Do appreciate that. If we lead in the first half, we should rest best. Look, if we lead by maybe 2, perhaps. But if we're leading by 1, I don't know whether I want to rest straight away. And the crazy part is we don't generally ball out. We don't generally go out there and score too often. I do want to also address a few of these comments. Very, very good comments. Chelsea perspective, Thomas Tuchel uses Aspie there for defensive purposes, not for his attacking ability. Well, it's a bit strange because in the last press conference, Thomas Tuchel actually mentioned that he's done the switcheroo between Azpilicueta and Reece James is because he thinks Aspie is a little bit more adventurous going forward, whereas Reece James isn't as adventurous all the time. Yeah, there is the crosses that Reece has, but Reece is not someone who gets into the box, where Aspie, we've seen many a times into the final third, sometimes gets into the box. There was that missed header against in the FA Cup, was it, where Timo Werner just touched it? So that's where Aspie gets in, and this is the reason. Whereas Reece is probably a little bit more comfortable in defending. The crazy part is that I think Reece can be very, very good going forward. But I think from this position, Reece can be very dynamic next season if he continues here. I feel like, do you guys remember the season where Azpilicueta was just crossing in for Morata from this area deep, and Morata was, from around this area, he would cross it in into these zones here, and Morata would bang in those goals with his head. I think Reece can deliver those crosses from deep, and I also think if he is given the license from Tuchel next season, we've already seen the pace that he's got against Mendy, against Man City. He would be very, very good as an overlapping centre back. Do you know what I mean? So that will come into play. So obviously you'll have the wing backs, and maybe you'll have all of these players sort of tuck in, and it could become sort of a situation like this, and he will have the ability to sort of bomb forward as well, and that could be something interesting to see down the track. Boys, let's now talk about the double sixes. I'll go with my double six and then see what you guys have to say. I'm going to go with George, and generally they sort of play side by side, and it's got to have to be cover because I'm resting Kante. This is my double six. I'll go to you, RJ, first up. Your thoughts? Happy with that?
Yeah, definitely, especially after what we heard from Tuchel. And I think unless he's 75+%, then let's strip this back as well. I think that a couple of months ago, before Cover got injured, we saw many fine displays from the Jovetic pairing. So I think sometimes it's nice to reflect on these guys were pretty effective at the time, and against an Aston Villa team is probably not going to look to dominate the ball. I think these guys actually might be quite important in terms of how we go about moving the ball quickly and hopefully trying to break in between those lines. So I'm more than comfortable with this pivot.
Yeah, no, 100% agreed as well. Taryn, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree as well. Like these two, apart from maybe the West Brom game, these two actually are very, very good pivot, especially with a 5 at the back. Even last season in a 4-2-3-1 at the start of the season, they were like amazing. The chemistry between them, the quick passing forward. I think they actually could be a very promising duo for the future if we keep with this system. Kante, yeah, it's going to be a big miss. He's I say one of our only world-class players alongside Thiago Silva in the squad at the minute. So yeah, we always want Kante to start, but I'm not complaining. Kova's he's blown out the cobwebs a little bit in that game on Tuesday. He's got his mistake out of the way. There's an Ndidi mistake. It's fine. He can move on from that. But there was one pass to Timo Werner that a lot of people didn't pick up on, where he kind of volleyed it first time. Wonderful pass. And a lot of people say this guy doesn't have the passing ability. He's just a dribbler. But let me tell you, he's a very technical player, and he's a very good player in our system. So yeah, I agree with the team.
Yeah, and what he provides from these areas is he'll start somewhere here deep, and then the drive where he just rips through the opposition midfield, and then literally it becomes a formation like this, where he creates a very dangerous situation. The thing that I want to see from Kova is more decisive passes, whether it's passes on the right, passes on the left, or passes through the middle. We know he has it in the locker, as you said, Taryn. He has those key passes in his locker, and I want to see more of that. And I hope that our forward players do finish things off. Boys, let's talk about the front three. I'll kick things off and see what you guys have to say, because this is the kind of formation that I'm sticking with. Pretty much what we had for the Leicester game. Once again, I may start Timo Werner here, but guys, don't get alarmed. Generally, Timo Werner will play probably in this area. But just for the sake of doing this lineup, it's going to be like this for now. And in the last game as well, we saw Pulisic more here and Timo Werner more this side. Timo Werner won the penalty from this particular position as well in that match against Leicester. So, yeah, just for the argument's sake, we'll put it here. Taryn, is this the front three you're going, or you're tinkering?
No, I'm keeping that front three. I think it works so well against Leicester. There's so much pace, so much dynamism. We have the technical play of Mason Mount. We have the drive of Pulisic. We have the work rate of Timo Werner. And for me, that front three could rip apart most teams. Once you get rid of Timo Werner, you have Christian Pulisic running at you. Okay, you've dealt with him. You have Mason Mount whipping balls in. Okay, you've dealt with him. You have Kovacic. So, yeah, that's a very fluid front three, and I think it works very well. Kai Havertz, I don't really want to risk him, to be honest. Obviously, Olivier...
he hasn't trained, bro. So I don't think he's playing.
Yeah, I don't think Havertz will play this game. It's really sad because he was building up some good form. But, yeah, Abraham, I mean, not really. I think it could be a shout to play against his old club.
He doesn't even make the bench. Do you know what I mean?
Hudson-Odoi maybe could come off. He played well in a few games, and now he's not getting a run in. But I think we have so much attacking talent, but we haven't struck consistency in our personnel, I'd say. We haven't found our best front three yet under Thomas Tuchel. Maybe you could argue Havertz, Pulisic, Mount. But that was just one game, in my opinion, where they performed really well. Crystal Palace. And I think this front three could be our most consistent, in my opinion, of how they can play. So, yeah, I'll stick with this. I think we have the pace to get behind Tyrone Mings, to get behind Courtney Hulse, to get behind, obviously, Ezri Konsa. And Mason Mount can really get a Matt Target, and Christian Pulisic can get a Matty Cash. So, yeah, I agree with this front three.
One thing we have to agree is, first of all, Mason Mount, as mentioned by Fabrizio Romano earlier this week in one of his podcasts, saying that Mason Mount is one of the untouchables. Chelsea will never ever sell him. He's absolutely you can't put a price on him at the moment, and Chelsea wouldn't even sell him. So Mason Mount is an untouchable. I think the other one is Timo Werner. Let's face it. Thomas Tuchel really, really fancies Timo Werner. He cannot stop praising the amount of work that Timo Werner does for us. So that really leaves one spot in that front three between Callum Hudson-Odoi, Hakim Ziyech, and Pulisic, if we take away Havertz being injured at the time being. It's very difficult. And I want to continue on with Pulisic at the time being, even though I don't think he was that great against Leicester the last game. But as I said, momentum and a winning team, I don't want to tinker too much just before the Champions League final, and obviously this key game as well. RJ, is this the lineup you're keeping, or are you doing something slightly different? Maybe a Ziyech comes in.
Yeah, to be honest, I've been playing that scenario in my head, because I think you were right in the sense of, on paper, that front three looks very strong. But the other day, I was a little bit underwhelmed by Pulisic, and I thought, not that he was terrible, but he wasn't as noticeable positively versus the other players. So I think, and that's just to be very clear, that I'm not criticizing him, but I just think given what we know he can produce, I think the fact that he didn't stand out in a positive light relative to the rest of his attacking peers, I felt, does he deserve the right to start again? And Tuchel might turn around and say yes, because the overall connection and contribution helped the chemistry and the balance. But I'm just thinking perhaps we know how positive he's been coming from the bench. So it might be one of those situations where I give Ziyech a start. I know some people on the chat are saying he hasn't done enough to start. But at the same time, I'm thinking Pulisic, to me, didn't do much in the last game to deserve guaranteed bolt-on like Mount and Werner. So I think, to me, that's very much a flip of the coin. And I could see Mount starting on the left, Ziyech on the right, and Werner up top because they're quite interchangeable. So to me, happy to stay with this front three, but I could very well see Ziyech coming in for Pulisic on this one. I don't think Cho will get the nod to start in this, given the significance of this game.
No, I don't think either. But yeah, completely agree. That's the only one where there could be a bit of a confusion as to who starts. But my reasoning behind Pulisic is that, yeah, he didn't deserve a start off the back of that performance, but at the same time, I don't want to tinker anymore. I do want him to try and redeem himself in this particular game. It's like what's been happening to Ziyech, RJ. He plays a good game, then the next game he doesn't start. So it breaks the momentum. Yeah, it just breaks the momentum. And I think it's not good to do that at the moment. I rather just continue on, unless he has an absolute blunder. I do want to talk about a couple of these comments before I get to the super chat.
Yeah, Ryan's got some good ones.
Yeah, Ryan's put in a really good one here. Ryan, thank you so much for these comments. If Pulisic starts tomorrow, he has to make an impact from the first minute in order to hold that place for the UCL final. So many times he's disappeared at the beginning of the games. You know, I've got a lot of stick for saying this exact comment in Twitter. I appreciate everything Pulisic does. He does a lot of good things. He wins fouls. He draws fouls. You know, his dribbling ability, his ability to be direct. But the one thing that I don't like is he does so many good things which does not eventuate to a goal scoring opportunity or to a goal contribution or a goal itself. I feel like, yeah, he has scored, he has done well and whatnot, but I feel like he can do a lot. The way he plays, he can take his game to a different level, and he can actually do a lot of damage, like we saw last season post lockdown when it opened up, how dynamic he was. So I've seen this player's ability, and that's what sort of bothers me, that I'm not seeing that this season. That's why I'm a bit, upset when a lot of fans are like, oh wow, that's great dribbling, this, that, but I'm like, well, what did the dribble really do? What has it led to? Do you know what I mean? It's not really led to anything. At the end of the day, he beat 3 players, but then he lost the ball. So that's my point. I will get your point as well from the boys, but before I do that, I just want to quickly address this. Michael Green, thank you so much for this super chat. In the summer, it's vital we sign a CDM, or a CDM. It's an area we have been weaker in since we sold Matic. We must sign Tchouameni. I think that's it. Tchouameni. Tchouameni from Monaco. Champions League or no Champions League. Look, a lot of people have been talking about Tchouameni at the moment. I'll be honest, I haven't watched too much of him. I've seen clips here and there, and he looks very good. But you're right, my man. We need something different. I feel like this season, especially in the last few games with no Kovacic, we missed that touch in the middle, and we looked a bit shaky in those games against Arsenal and Leicester in the FA Cup. And next season, we do need something different in that. And not just that, not just something different to Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic, but someone who can add goals and assists. That's the vital part that I'm missing in midfield. You look at Jorginho and Kovacic and Kante, these guys are not someone who goes out there and scores and assists. Yeah, you can say Jorginho is the top scorer at the moment for us in the Premier League, I think with 7 goals, but I'm pretty sure they were all penalties, 7 penalties. I don't think they were all, any of them are open goal shouts. So, I do want to see a little bit more of that. Taryn, what's your thoughts on Pulisic, my man? I mean, have you been totally happy, or you think there is a lot more from what we saw last season?
Yeah, I think the thing, like I said in the review that we did on Tuesday, that the fact that he was so like amazing, lightning quick, off the mark, driving at players, assisting, scoring goals. You know, the Liverpool game, for example, last season, he ripped apart one of the best defenders in the country with ease, just with not even a fully fit Pulisic. Well, that's why I feel like a lot of fans sometimes have a lot of expectations, but we have to forget he's in a team now where we don't rely on him significantly at all moments. Like in the previous system we played, we just pass to him and maybe hope for a run, a goal, and assist. But now in this system, I think there's a burden on many other players, not just Pulisic. So naturally, it's just going to kind of deteriorate the kind of burden on him. It's going to, I feel like it's on Mason Mount a little bit more now, where I wouldn't say we rely on him completely, but he's the one player that we expect to kind of be there consistently 38 games a season at times. So yeah, I think that's what's kind of affected him. But I thought he was okay against Leicester on Tuesday. I didn't think he was poor. Maybe on the naked eye, you wouldn't see him straight away and think, wow, what blinding whirlwind performance. You'd think, okay, yeah, but if you watch him in the game, he was really good off the ball. He was closing down passing lanes really well. He was actually creating a lot of space for Werner to run in behind for Mason Mount. That's why we had so many opportunities. And yeah, he was very good linking up with N'Golo Kante before he came off as well. But yeah, I think we have so much expectation. Let's be honest. We know this guy can be one of the best wingers in the world in the future. There's no doubt about that. The ability he has, he's just the guy that people come to stadiums to pay for. You know, they'd pay 60, 70 pounds just to watch this guy run, to glide around the pitch. It's just the type of player he is. But yeah, a little bit on to Tchouaméni a little bit now. I think the worry about me is that I think it could be similar to Bakayoko in the way he likes to play. He's very good defensively. He's kind of like a DM. Maybe not the best going forward. And that's kind of my worry, that if we just sign a DM who's similar to Bakayoko, where's the progression going to come for when I play? Like, who's going to be the guy to play the ball forward? Who's going to be the guy to make the Jorginho style, like, you know, evading a pressure that runs from Kovacic? That's kind of my worry. He's 21 years old. I don't think it's a smart move at the moment. Maybe give him a year playing in the Champions League next year. Monaco have pretty much secured the qualification for the competition. So maybe give him a year playing at the highest elite level. And then we can look at it maybe next season. I think at Chelsea we need a DM who's quite established at the minute, who can lead the team from the middle, who can provide a bit of experience, maybe like, you know, Dennis Zakaria, someone like that. But yeah, it's interesting to Tchouaméni. And I think he's a good player, but right now I probably wouldn't say we should sign him, to be honest.
Yeah. RJ, your thoughts on Pulisic and Tchouaméni as well?
Yeah, I think you guys covered a lot of it from the Pulisic point of view. I think it just depends on preference. For me, I think I look at the 90 minutes as a whole. I think, do I want to start off with Pulisic knowing that from the last game he wasn't as effective on the ball? Well, I think we can all agree he was very important with the off the ball, which is equally as important, despite him. His primary role is to help score goals, but that said, is part of a collective unit, and if he can create more value overall, then it's a tick. But I think this is a good comment. Pulisic needs to be a little bit smarter off the ball. His moves are good, but it does seem a little bit at times that there is a bit of indecisiveness or a little bit of overzealousness, if you want to call it that. And I agree. That's actually a very insightful comment. But that said, we know what he can bring. It's not a potential thing. We've seen it. It's just a matter of him being able to be a little bit more effective and clinical with his decision making. It's just whether or not I look at it from the point of view as there's 90 minutes. We've got two other games that we're also monitoring at the time as well. And I'm thinking, if we are in a position where we are needing to change the result and get that, I would personally think that bringing on Pulisic helps us add that little bit extra momentum versus bringing on someone like Ziyech. So I don't know, like, it's just a personal preference thing. I would like to see him start, but at the same time, I would think it's a little bit hard to drop him from that Leicester game because he didn't have a shocker. So that's just my personal opinion. But in terms of Tchouaméni, ever since I heard a little while ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, the whole talk of him, I started really digging into it. And I do have a lot more faith that he's someone that is a little bit different to Bakayoko, in my opinion. There are similarities, of course, but from what I've seen of him, I get enough confidence in that he's someone that I reckon he has another year and it becomes firmly established. it might be one of those instances where it's a little too late sort of thing, and all of a sudden his price goes up dramatically and we get priced out of it because Real Madrid, I know, another team that are watching his situation very closely. And the attractiveness of him is because he's still quite young, and all these other big clubs haven't fully recovered from the COVID impact. This is our sort of opportunity to strike while the iron's hot. So I get the sense of he's still young. He might not be as prolific in the goal-scoring phase of a midfield role, but I do think he's someone that's going to develop into someone that's going to be quite a big player. It's just a matter of, do we want to take that calculated risk? So for me, if we can get him at a really good price, like i.e. between 30, 35 mil, if that's what was quoted, then I think it's definitely worth an option for us, because I think he's, I'm happy to put it out there in the public domain. I think he's going to be going places. So, yeah, we'll see.
No, it's interesting, man. A lot of people rate him. A lot of people, not just you, RJ. And obviously, Taryn mentioned about him a long time ago in this channel when I didn't even know who this player was. And he was talking about that. Do you remember, Taryn, you had, it was you, myself, and your Liverpool mate, forgot his name.
Well, no, I think we talked about him in that thing we did, like the lineups for next season, the kind of transfer thing with Jonathan.
With Jonathan. Yeah. That's right, with Jonathan.
Kind of bringing him in, And we were kind of talking about, I just want to put up in the comments, a few people were saying that. I just think there's a worry that he's coming from the French league as well. I know it's quite a shallow thing to say, but can he adapt next season while we need to be fighting for the Champions League, the Premier League? Is he going to be the player who's going to be, similar to Fabinho, similar to Rodri? I'm not quite sure. That's kind of my doubts about him. I say the point that RJ makes is good, that next season he could be, even 60, 70 million if he performs really well in the Champions League as well. If he's performing in the big nights against Barcelona, against Dortmund, against Real Madrid, then he's going to be looked at and be priced out. But yeah, I think for a starting place next season, I don't think he should be that player. But if we buy him to maybe nurture him on Thomas Tuchel, a little bit potential, maybe get him in a few FA Cup games, Carabao Cup games, some off Premier League games here and there, then that's the kind of player. But I'm just a guy who wants the best players out the pitch. I don't think he's right now the guy who can do that, in my opinion. But yeah, he's a great player for in the future.
No, fair point. Michael Green, thank you once again for the super chat. Just another point on CDM. Midfield lacks physical power to screen defense. We need a specialist. At midfield are the other guy. We need that DM. I've said it. All our 6-6 players, in the sense of Kante, Jorginho, and Copa, they need a Matic next to them. All those three need like a Matic player next to them. Kante, we've already seen. We've won the league with Kante, Matic. Do you know what I mean? Cover would be unbelievable with a Matic next to him. Jorginho, maybe not so much. Jorginho probably needs another different type of a midfielder. Maybe not a Matic, but maybe a different style of a midfielder. But I completely hear you. They all need. They're all the other guy. They really are. They just need someone to, as you said, physical power and screen the defense. I have to agree. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the lineup that we have come up with: Mendy, Rudy, Silva, RJ, Azpilicueta, Chilwell, Jorginho, Copa, Pulisic, Timo Werner, Mason Mount. Let us know what your thoughts are of this lineup and your score prediction, guys. Let us know in the comments. And while you're at it, please smash the like button. Helps the channel out a lot, helps the video out a lot, and gets a wider reach. If you're here for the first time as well, subscribe. And also help me out on Instagram. I'm really trying to build on that Instagram. You can see the tag there of the Instagram in the video. Help me out there if you guys are active in there. But boys, let's talk about the final part, which is the score prediction. I'll go to you, my man RJ. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling a little bit of cautious optimism. So with that, I reckon in the end, we are going to use the motivation of securing that top 4 spot ahead of the big dance against City the week later. And overall, I'm predicting a tight, cagey affair. Will dominate the ball, I suspect. It will be fiery from Aston Villa at times. But overall, given their lack of tangible motivation, I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for the Blues.
2-1. Ooh, not a clean sheet.
No, I want to be. I just got a feeling it's going to be one of those ugly goal situations. It's going to be it's error.
Like a mistake.
It's going to be an error.
It's an error.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're good for that. So
we're good for that.
crossed.
We're always good for that. Taryn, my boy, what's your score?
Yeah, I think if Grealish was, back and he was fully fit for this game, he wasn't just recovering from a serious injury, then I would have predicted a much more difficult game, I think, with the prediction. But I don't think Villa are going to score against us. I think we have the players to deal with Watkins, who is quite inconsistent at times. We have the players to deal with, fingers crossed, Bertrand Traore, who I think will have a lot to prove for this game after his sad... He was actually quite good in the 15-16 season when he came in.
But for Lyon, he wasn't that bad. I saw a couple of matches for him in Lyon. He was pretty good.
He's a good player, and he's had a decent season at Villa. Trezeguet, I'm not really that concerned, put it that way. I think it will be a 2-0 win. I think we'll score just before the end of the first half. And then Villa will be, really trying to penetrate, trying to get a goal. The fans will be really, fired up to try and get a goal for Villa. But I think we'll get a late goal, maybe, Reece James or something like that. Will be 2-0 in the end. And I'm really excited for this game. So I'm going with a 2-0 win. But it's going to be a big game. Now it's been an honour to be on this channel for half a season. Hopefully we can do, exciting stuff next season as well.
Brilliant. I'm actually predicting a 2-0 as well. I'm thinking we get an early goal, settle the nerves, and then Villa, obviously with the fans, as you said, Taryn, will try and come at us, and then we'll sneak in a counter. We'll sneak in a counter, and hopefully Timo Werner. I'm backing Timo Werner to score that counter goal. First one, look, it might be a jammy from a set piece. God knows, another one of those Rudiger's knee that gets in and then just bundles over. And then we get a proper goal after that. We've got a final super chat here. My man, Chelsea Perspective, you're always supporting this channel. Thank you so much all the time. I always enjoy the organization of your stream and the intellectual inputs from your guests. Thank you. Honestly, this is the highest level of compliment that my panel can get, honestly. And this is not just for RJ and Taryn, for all the people that are bringing here, Jonathan, stay tuned. He'll be back for the final review of the Premier League, and obviously he'll be back for the Champions League. We've got some madness, hopefully preparing for the Champions League running. And Nishal as well, another one who's has been in the channel. Many more. Ryan in the comments here, he's been part of it, and plenty other people. So do thank all my panelists for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up. Some final announcements so that you guys all know we've got close to 85 people. Please smash the like button. I hope you get to at least 50 plus likes while you're at it. Honestly, it doesn't cost at all to smash the like button. So hit the like button, number one. Some of the announcements, and I'll see what the boys have to say as well. Maybe might do a pre-match because it is the last match. So just before the kickoff happens, maybe I might get the boys here again. Maybe I might even get a few other guys as well. Maybe have a bit of a party in this particular channel just before the last game of the Premier League. And perhaps 10 minutes before the lineup starts, we may do a show. Then obviously the lineup will come up. We'll talk about the lineup, build it up, and then we watched. We're not going to do a watch along. I feel like we all deserve to just watch the match peacefully because it could get pretty crazy. And then we'll obviously be back for the review. So stay tuned for the pre-match. I'm planning we should have a pre-match. Look out for the announcement, and I'll speak to the boys. And obviously the review is guaranteed. And as I said, Jonathan is back for the review. It's the return of Jonathan. And for the Champions League, I'll speak to the boys again, but I think we may have to do a watch along. I think it's warranted. I think everyone wants to see the reactions of the Chelsea fans while they're watching. It is a game that God knows when we're ever going to make it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not guaranteed that we're always going to make the Champions League final. I hope we do. So, we need to cherish the moment. I am 36 this year. In fact, on the Champions League day is my birthday, ladies and gentlemen. 29th of May is my birthday. So I am going to be 36. RJ, my man, I know he's similar age to me as well. God knows when we're going to see another Champions League final where Chelsea goes in. The last time was a long time ago. I was a lot younger. So if I have to wait again, I may not have this channel by then. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Taryn's running this channel. I might give this channel to Taryn. So, maybe we do a watch along and enjoy the reaction. I'm pretty sure the fans will appreciate that. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much wraps us up. Do check us out for tomorrow. Oh yeah, I will have another segment of talking with Miz. I think the fans love this talking with Miz segment where I pretty much open the gates for you guys, and you guys can jump in and we can talk about anything. Any particular topic. Transfer topics are very, very wild. Everyone wants to talk about that, so we could probably do that. I'm planning it'll be somewhere around 11 a.m. UK time. So do look out for that on Saturday. And as I said, pre-match on Sunday, and then review, and then madness the week after. Guys, please follow my panelists. The socials are not in the description as yet, but please check out some of the other videos. I will put them on very, very soon. But these guys have been regular, so go and follow them everywhere. And as I said, please follow me on Instagram. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much. See ya.